For most of us, bad news stands out in a way that good news doesn't. And not just in these days when the bad is pretty much roaring in our ears most of the time. Even in times that aren't nearly so messed up, human attention is generally more fixed on what's going wrong than on what is going right, and we can't help it. This is ancient, it is primal. The survival of any species depends on alertness to anything that might be crisis. When things are going well, then life goes on just fine, but it takes only one bad thing, not sufficiently noticed, to put life to an end. So naturally, we are wired as a species that when calamities, threats, and other bad news is known, it catches and dominates our attention. And heaven knows there's always more than enough of that. Which is why a steady intake of good news may be required for us to keep our balance, our mental, spiritual, and relational health. Strong infusions of good news can make a life-giving difference. This has been very evident in our current season of multi-layered unpleasantness. A standout example is something done by the actor John Krasinski, who has created and was hosting a weekly YouTube show called simply Some Good News. He would gather stories, make videos, and do interviews of people doing marvelous celebrations of each other and helping and supporting and loving each other. It was a time filled with goodwill and laughter and not a little weeping. He even threw a virtual prom for high school students across the country who were missing their own. Was it escapism? No, it was counterpoint. It was showing the embodiment of kindness and generosity that was real, but that we otherwise could not see. And the response was like people at a joyous feast, partaking of what they had been starving for. Some good news. Something not dissimilar happened a very long time ago in the Greek city of Thessalonica, the first city in all of Europe to be visited by the Apostle Paul. And it so happened when these people met him, they were exceptionally welcoming and soon responded with a growing and deep faith, and soon they were endeavoring bold, creative, new endeavors for love's sake. We know this because Paul later wrote them a letter, which we have in the New Testament, which says, I can't stop thinking about you. I can't stop being grateful for who you are and what you've done. And what's more, the news about you has been spreading everywhere I go. News about your joy, your faith, how deep and how generous is your love. You have become an example. And not just in the part of the world you live in, but all over the place. And it is certainly true in our time. What a powerful difference it makes when we are a witness to other people's bravery, truth-telling, integrity, compassion, faithfulness, and the witness that always accompanies a great depth of love. Their lives in some wonderful ways embarrass our smallness. Their vision and their energy wake us up to new possibilities. Their courage and faith strengthen the courage and faith possible in ourselves. Their goodness restores our hope and gives us new reason for praise. Some of you know and love the song, "How Can I Keep from Singing?" Here are the words of the verse that is my favorite. When tyrants tremble, sick with fear, and hear their death knell ringing, when friends rejoice, both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cells and dungeons vile, our hearts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? Such friends need not be perfect, not by any stretch, but their great commitments transcend their imperfections. And so we, in our own imperfections, are lifted up to new desire to do better. And often, we really do. John Wesley said, "No one can be a Christian alone." And I believe it because it's true to my own experience. I have known myself to be faithless and foolish. In my life, I have known almost paralyzing discouragement and lassitude of spirit. But over and over again, what has wakened my faith and restored me to a sense of purpose and jump-started my joy has been somebody's sheer goodness, or more often has been a community of encouragement and their sheer goodness. I have seen and felt their encouraging, their caring, their correcting, their praying, their working, their singing, their laughing, their weeping. And it has helped me carry on and made me better. These men and women, some of them in our congregation, I see their faces and I'm comforted. I see your faces and am comforted. And with all my heart, I thank you for being such good news to me and good news for our life together. Surely there are people who have been exactly this for you. You could do a whole lot worse than spend time recalling them, seeing their faces, recalling what they said and what they did and who they are, that became good news to you and shaped and reshaped your life for the good. There are worse things to do than return to our deep thankfulness for them. There may be even more to learn even now from their example. We all need to know people or to know of people whose lives are good guidance to us and solace for us and strength, especially now in these bizarre, maddening, and exhausting times. Can any of us possibly be what we need to be apart from some kind of community of encouragement? 2 or 3 years ago, the singer-songwriter Carrie Newcomer asked a friend of hers a question. This friend was Parker Palmer, a writer, activist, and theologian. Her question was, what can we do when we are personally or politically heartbroken? His reply, we take sanctuary. We gather with those we love. We remember, we share stories, or we sit in silence until we are able to carry on. Not long after that conversation, Carrie Newcomer wrote a song called Sanctuary, which includes these words. Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire is gone, and bring me sprigs of rosemary and be my sanctuary so I can carry on till I can carry on? And let's be clear about this as well, that we who need the faithful must also more and more become the faithful. They have been such good examples for us. Can you imagine you and me becoming good examples for others? This is a dimension of our calling that we don't talk about very much. We do talk about loving others, caring for them, serving them, advocating for them, for their sakes, for God's sakes, for our own sakes. What we sometimes forget is that others will observe it or otherwise learn of it, or in time will simply feel the rippling out of it, what came from the kindness and the courage of what we set loose in the world. Please believe this. When deeds of kindness and courage are done, they're not finished. They live on. Noticed or not, they ripple toward and make their quiet witness, and more often than not, the world changes, at least a little bit. Kindness and courage turn out to be contagious. When we do the right thing and do it over and over and over again, a light begins to shine that can become a light for the way of others and can lift up their hearts. A few weeks ago, a friend of ours posted something on social media that just blew me away. It was Ashley Mangrum. She and her family are still cherished members of our congregation, who to our great loss recently moved away for a new job. She posted something she overheard her 9-year-old son Grady saying as he was hugging his little baby sister Noelle. This is what Ashley posted. While giving her a hug, my 9-year-old son told my 4-month-old daughter that the warmth radiating from her body makes him feel like he belongs. What fantastic insight from a 9-year-old. The warmth of his sister isn't just pleasant for him. It makes him feel like he belongs. And that is who we are with and for each other and well beyond each other. When the warmth and the light that is within us will radiate from us, then we will all come to know in new ways that all of us belong. And that is some mighty good news.